Hello friends! If you don't know me, my name is Snuggly, and I am here today with 4 absolutely wild and unhinged fan theories about the Nancy Drew games. Just a pre-warning, this video will contain spoilers for Secret of the Scarlet Hand, Shadow at the Water's Edge, White Wolf of Icicle Creek, and Treasure in the Royal Tower. Henrik's Shamnesia. I've witnessed this theory gaining a lot of traction in the Clue crew recently, but otherwise _pangolin86 outlined it really comprehensively on the Nancy Drew subreddit, so shout out to them specifically. The gist of this theory is that sexy divorced epigrapher Henrik Vanderheuen from Secret of the Scarlet Hand is faking his amnesia due to secretly being a criminal mastermind. In the first third of the game, Henrik takes a little tumble, a dark descent you could say, from the top of Beach Hill Museum's pyramid/health and safety nightmare, which results in him being sent to the hospital with apparent memory loss. For the rest of the game, he reclines in his hospital bed of lies, yelling, "I can't remember," whenever Nancy asks an inconvenient question, which is quite often considering how memorable that line is. However, there's just as much evidence to suggest that Henrik is a f***ing villain, a dangerous psychopath, and a criminal mastermind, as otherwise _pangolin86 states. Nancy discovers damning evidence that Taylor Sinclair was in a smuggling ring in the 1970s, but who else was part of that smuggling ring? That's right, Mr. Humpty f***ing Dumpty himself, Henrik. He supposedly only joined to pay off his college tuition, but as evidence from his notes and the ham radio, he's still in communication with smugglers, although this could be explained as him trying to collect the keys for the monolith to keep them out of Sinclair's hands. But we don't know that for sure. He could have just as easily kept in communication with the smugglers so as to sell artifacts on the black market. That's the thing about a lot of the evidence against Henrik. From a certain angle you can see his actions as being completely innocent, but from a different point of view they can be perceived as very not innocent. It's all a matter of perspective. For example, the theft of the Pakal carving at the Beach Hill Museum is almost identical to the theft at the Chaco Canyon Cultural Center, where Henrik used to work, with a red handprint also being left at the scene of the crime. It's canon that Henrik orchestrated this theft, again supposedly to keep one of the monolith keys away from Sinclair. The question is, why did he leave behind the red handprint? It seems like a needless step if he really is just stealing the key out of necessity. It's a bit dramatic. Then there's the theft of Prudence Rutherford's necklace, which is also implied to be Henrik's work. As otherwise _pangolin86 writes, Henrik broke into an old woman's house in Kansas while she was sleeping, dug through her jewelry box, stole the jade key piece, and left behind the Scarlet Hand symbol there. That seems so much more malicious than heroic. Why not call her anonymously to tell her to put the piece in a safe because someone, Taylor, was going to try to steal it? And if Henrik's goal was to keep the keys away from Sinclair, why does Nancy not find any trace of them in his things? However, if his goal was always to sell the keys on the black market, it would explain why she never finds them, because they were never there. Another mark against Henrik is the large purchase of cinnabar he made in Joanna's name, which essentially frames her for the theft at Beach Hill, and which cinnabar was used to create the red handprint left at the scene of the crime. There's no easy justification for why he didn't just purchase the cinnabar under his own name. Then there's Henrik's alleged amnesia. We're supposed to believe that he hit his pointy Vander head during his fall off the pyramid and suffered memory loss. I'm gonna go ahead and just call him out on this. I've never known anyone in real life who suffered from amnesia after hitting their head. Concussions? Yes, in fact I had a middle school gym teacher who got so many concussions that she started wearing a helmet during gym class. She'd been hit on the head enough to have 3 concussions, and her memory was completely fine, from what I remember. The only time I've seen people get amnesia is in soap operas, which fits with Henrik's sense of the dramatic, knowing that he left a Scarlet Hand at Chaco Canyon Cultural Center without needing to after stealing the key there. His amnesia also comes at a very coincidental time, right as the investigation is kicking off, meaning that he's unable to be properly interrogated by the police. Another interesting detail is that we only ever see Henrik lying at the bottom of the pyramid stairs, we don't actually witness his great fall. Well, in a sense we do, because we provide exactly what Henrik needs in that moment, a witness to his quote-unquote accident. He could very easily have just positioned himself at the bottom of the stairs and waited for Nancy to walk by and start groaning. Later, when he's in the hospital, he uses Nancy to do all his legwork to procure the monolith keys, knowing that if he were the one looking into things, it would be too suspicious. This also would explain why, out of anyone, he chooses to call Nancy, a person he's only spoken to once, when he gets to the hospital. To quote otherwise Pangolin 86, this means that Henrik is still actively in a smuggling ring and went to great lengths to manipulate a young female intern into doing his illegal bidding and used brain damage as an excuse to evade any suspicion or legal repercussions. Henrik is the real villain. However, in the wise words of commenter Amatox10, I am willing to excuse all of this because I find him very attractive. Rentaro and Yumi. In Shadow at the Water's Edge, local nerd Rentaro's actions all seem to be motivated by love for his girlfriend, Miwako Shimizu. He's making her a robot dog, he's terrorizing her with a puppet designed in the likeness of her dead mom. It's all very romantic. However, this theory suggests that Rentaro might be lying about more than the fact that he's definitely not terrorizing his girlfriend with a puppet designed in the likeness of her dead mom. Shadow at the Water's Edge is a game all about family secrets, and another important member of the Shimizu family is Miwako's sister, Yumi. Yumi lives in the city, designs her own clothes, and owns her own business. Basically, she's cooler than Miwako in every way. Sorry, Miwako. And maybe Rentaro thinks so too, because this theory, courtesy of antique_aardvark4192 on Reddit, suggests that he's cheating on Miwako with Yumi. Rentaro's relationship with Miwako is already not what you would call the healthiest relationship.
Are things not going well with Miwako and you?
As usual, no.
I can imagine, if Rentaro was a scumbag, him choosing to have a little fun on the side by cheating on Miwako rather than working to fix his relationship in a more meaningful way than building his girlfriend a robotic dog. As if Miwako were a toddler, he's trying to distract from a crying fit with a Tickle Me Elmo. And spoilers, he is a scumbag, that is. This theory isn't officially confirmed. But there is more evidence to support it. When you ask Rentaro about Yumi, he really hypes her up, although with a caveat that she's really bossy, so we already know who the dom would be in their relationship. If you ask Yumi about Rentaro, she calls him a good time. Nancy might be too chaste and naive to understand what she's implying, but I'm definitely not too chaste and naive to read a sexual implication into a line that definitely wasn't written with that intention. But that's what fan theories are all about, right? Reading too much into things, but in a fun way. Yumi also mentions that Rentaro stays over in her apartment all of the time. Yeah, the same minuscule apartment with one bed, no couch, and barely any floor space. Sorry, Yumi, but you're not gonna beat the cheating allegations while actively participating in the one bed trope. I'm not going to apologize to Rentaro because I would never apologize to Rentaro. He doesn't deserve it. There's also a distance between the two sisters, both geographically and psychologically, something that Yumi perhaps amplified herself due to guilt or to avoid any chance of Miwako catching her and Rentaro in the act. We definitely know that it was her choice to move away from the family Ryokan to the city. When you take all these facts in isolation, it's easy to imagine Rentaro and Yumi having an affair during the events of Shadow at the Water's Edge. I can't decide what's worse, cheating on your girlfriend with her sister or terrorizing your girlfriend with a puppet designed in the likeness of her dead mom. Which do you think is worse? Let me know in the comments. Ice Cold Killer. If you played White Wolf of Icicle Creek, and I really hope you did because I'm about to reveal an avalanche of spoilers, you will probably remember that the culprit was ambiguously European and infamously well-cheeked Olympian Yanni Volkstaya. He's serving up 2 double Big Macs with the amount of patty in those buns. Other than being criminally thick, Yanni's crimes seem to amount to setting off a lot of bombs and committing miscellaneous acts of sabotage, all in the pursuit of illicitly finding uranium for Fredonia, his ambiguously European country of origin. And I say seem because this theory proposes that Yanni is guilty of more than just setting off a few bombs and poisoning a few potato salads in the name of patriotism. No, what Reddit user Red Dwarf Fan intimates is that Yanni is actually a murderer and killed everyone's favorite California dude bro / fox and geese tolerator / unethical archaeologist Lou Talbot. Towards the end of the game, after Nancy confronts Lou and accuses him of stealing dinosaur bones for fun and profit, Lou flees from Icicle Creek Lodge like a coward. Or maybe that's just what Yanni wants us to think. Because if you check Lou's room after he leaves the lodge, all his belongings are mysteriously still there, untouched. You would think that he would take all his stuff with him when he left, especially as art supplies are notoriously expensive, and he's but a humble student. And as far as I can remember, if you try to phone Lou after he goes home, he doesn't answer. Lou Talbot can't come to the phone right now. Why? Because he's dead. Theoretically. Then at the end of the game, when Nancy finally gets inside Trapper Dan's needle, she finds Lou's backpack stuffed full of explosive, which leads her to initially believe that Lou is the culprit. However, it quickly becomes clear that Yanni is responsible for the bombs, meaning that he set Lou up by filling his bag with explosives and leaving it there for Nancy to find. Which begs the question, how did Yanni get Lou's backpack? Perhaps he stole it from Lou, or perhaps he took it off Lou's dead body after beating him to death with one of his own stolen dinosaur bones. But, you might be asking, why would Yanni want to kill Lou? My best guess is that it was a case of Lou having seen too much, considering his habit of lingering around the scene of the explosions Yanni caused, looking for bones. Lingering at the bone zone, you could say. Perhaps on one occasion Lou approached the site of an explosion before Yanni had time to flee the scene, and Lou realized that it was in fact Yanni, not the wolf, who was responsible for the explosions. Big shocker to find out that this wolf can't actually set off time bombs. We know that Lou is an opportunistic and greedy guy from his hobby of illegally selling dinosaur bones on the black market, so it's not too much of a stretch to imagine him attempting to blackmail Yanni, hoping for another side hustle to help pay off his student loans, which led Yanni to, say, stab Lou through the heart with one of his ski poles. We may never know what actually happened, probably because canonically nothing happened at all, but it's always fun to imagine a sprinkle more murder in the Nancy Drew games. 90 Day Fiancé. One of Nancy's main suspects in Treasure in the Royal Tower is Olympic loser Jacques Brunet. Similar to fried potatoes, he is hot and French. Good news and bad news for all you Jacques simpers out there. The bad news is that he is engaged to an American woman named Isabelle. The good news is that this engagement might be a sham devised just so Jacques can get a green card and remain in the States, as theorized by Snap Pop Crackle on Reddit. There are a few pieces of information which support this theory. First, there's Jacques' behavior. He says,
My excuse?
in response to Nancy asking him what his excuse is for being in Wisconsin in such a scared way, as if he's afraid she's onto his ruse. But okay, maybe that's just because English isn't his first language and he's unfamiliar with that turn of phrase. We also learn that he is the one who initiated the relationship with Isabelle and proposed to her. But okay, maybe that's just the typical behavior of a man in a heterosexual relationship in a patriarchal society. It's expected that the man proposes to the woman. However, he didn't bother to buy Isabelle a ring before proposing, which is not a very romantic gesture, coming from a man hailing from a nation famously known for being romantic. But okay, maybe he's underpaid by Christy Lane for his job teaching teenagers how to ski and cooking chicken wings for hungry history professors, and can't currently afford a diamond ring. That would explain why he has a side hustle making hope boxes, which he says are for keeping secrets safe. What kind of secrets do you have, Jacques? What kind of secrets do you need to hide away in your little hope boxes? And why do you need so many of them? But okay, maybe men are allowed to have hobbies. That doesn't explain him saying he wants to get married as soon as possible, and then clumsily evading Nancy's question when she asks why. But okay. Maybe he just loves Isabel so much, even though he didn't even buy her a ring before getting down on one knee. But I think the last and most damning piece of evidence more conclusively explains why Jacques is in such a rush to get married. Nancy can find a letter in his locker from the US Immigration and Naturalization Service saying that his visitor's visa expires in less than a month, providing him with a big fat motive for wanting to get married to an American as soon as possible. Unfortunately, Nancy does not have a chance to call him out on this, because at the end of the game, you discover that Jacques and Isabel have eloped. One thing we don't know is how long their marriage lasted. I'm guessing just slightly longer than the marriage between Matt and Kyler from Haunting of Castle Malloy, but the bar is so low that it's in hell, and all the little devils and assorted imps are using it to practice their pole dancing routines.
I would be ruined by you American women.
Which of these theories are you most convinced by? Do you have any Nancy Drew theories of your own? Let me know in the comments.